Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to the 46th weekly magazine where we'll be covering from 8th Jan to 14th Jan 2018. You're all aware that economic survey and Hindu diary of events are out and we will be making videos of those as well. So just give us some 10-15 days so that we can analyze these better. And from the UPSC point of view, by looking at the analysis of different statements made by ministers and reports of government, we will be making a proper videos of that, which will be from UPSC point of view. As of now, let's see what are the important areas that are important in this particular week. The first important issue from prelims point of view, especially art and culture, is about the Theyyam dance, which is in Kerala or which is celebrated in Kerala. It is a mixture of dance, mimi and music where the people, they usually go for heavy makeup and do dance of various of different people. Each person try to represent different heroes and they try to show their devotion to the god on the basis of their performances, right? This is a dance of devotion, very important from prelims point of view. Maximum they may ask you is, what is Theyyam dance? It is associated with which state, right? Important, just go through the facts that are given. If you can remember this, that should be more than enough. The next important issue where you keep on seeing again and again is about the Madhubani paintings, right? In Bihar, if we are actually talking about the paintings, especially the eastern part, Mithila region, you usually observe the Maithili paintings, themes of Maithili paintings, which usually tries to show Krishna, Rama, Lakshmi, Shiva, Durga, Saraswati, different people, and the government is actually planning to have these near Madhubani. In Madhubani, almost all the buildings and all, they are planning to have paintings of this. So it's very important for you to know from art and culture point of view about the Madhubani paintings. The other subjects of Madhubani paintings are peacocks, fish and human connection with nature. They also try to include the sun, moon and the religious plants like Tulsi. It's mostly, we try to call it as philosophical, or it will be historical in nature. The next important issue, as you are aware, that Rabi season is ended with lot of harvesting festivals being celebrated in the country. The festival of Makar Sankranti, which is being celebrated on 14th January, right? And then you have Gujarat celebrates Uttarayan, Punjab Maghi, in Shimla Magh Saji, Lohri in most of the states, Naukhai, Pongal and Khichdi in Uttar Pradesh, right? These are the festivals which are very important for you. Maga Bihu is celebrated in Assam. Match the following, they may ask you from this. So please try to read this carefully. You should be aware that most of our festivals are associated with harvesting. That is, once the crop is there and when they harvest, they get money and from that they celebrate. As India is an agriculturally dominant country, even today most of these festivals has its own relevance. The next issue is actually about the All India WIPS conference. You might have heard of WIP in the context where Congress has actually issued whip, BJP has issued whip to its members. What is the meaning of it? Whip is actually an individual or member of a political party on the floor of the house. What is his main goal? He will be trying to identify if the party has taken any position with respect to a bill. For example, let's say Congress will say that we have to reject the bill. So the people or Congress party members should say no to it. Okay. Now what happens? Now when we look at the whip, so the whip member will be actually looking at the Congress members carefully and he will see whether all the Congress MPs are saying no to it or not. It is important for the floor management. So if any one person says yes rather than rejecting the bill, if he approves or supports BJP, then that person is disqualified. So the party can actually provoke anti-defection law and disqualify that particular individual. So whip will actually aim to help the political parties to get their mandate or to get their flock together. MPs and MLAs, if they have to be together, this is there. And remember, this is not present in the constitution. This is the rules of the house. Every time we will usually see this whip conference where they meet and they try to say that, right, these are the problems we have and this is how we need to function. Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs usually looks into it. But I want to tell you some important things about the whip. Whether it is BJP or Congress, today there is no role of any individual MP or MLA apart from if he is an independent candidate, then he can do anything at his will. But if he is part of any political party, the political party is so superior than the individual that whatever the political party says, the individual has to agree. For example, let's take GST. There will be some states which will be benefited because of GST and they will be Congress ruled state. But just because the Congress has issued the whip, that particular MPs from that particular state cannot vote in favor of that. So what is actual democracy? Democracy means what? When majority of the people, whatever they feel is good, it has to be implemented, but not at the cost of minorities. But here what happens? The majority has to be only the ruling party. Sometimes the ruling party takes some harsh decisions which their members also don't like. But they cannot go against it because any bill is introduced, they pass a whip. And if whip is passed, it's mandatory. So this is the problem that we are facing in our democracy. For actual functioning of the democracy, whips should be there in extreme conditions. Like for example, floor of the house and all, you can go. But not for the bills. Because there should be some sort of debate. The debate has to be from the ruling party also. The debate has to be from the opposition party also. In opposition, there can be some people who can accept the ruling party bills, or within the ruling party, there can be some people who can actually reject the bill itself. So guys, it is only Council of Ministers. Once the cabinet takes a decision, it is mandatory for the Council of Ministers to go by it. But it is not mandatory for every MP to follow the same. The constitutional principle where parliamentary supremacy, especially when it comes to legislative control, has to be ensured, whip has to be used consciously. Section 377 is again back in news where different benches at different point of time has given difference of opinions when it comes to this. When we talk about LGBT, you should be aware that the first three are associated with sexual orientation, whereas the fourth one is actually associated with biological. Central government has clearly said that we have to distinguish between these two, that is sexual orientation and biological orientation. But whenever we talk about the biological orientation, one of the major cause or one of the major problem with this is these people nowadays are given certain benefits in job opportunities, reservations and all. But they have to undergo complex procedures to get the certificates. And that is one of the major problem that they are facing. Whereas the others are saying that it is our right to privacy and right to choice. Governments cannot interfere into the personal matters or private spaces of the individuals. And Section 377 was actually made unlawful by the Britishers, right? But Britain today has accepted this LGB, whereas only India, which is still following this, is strictly implementing Section 377. But if we look our history as well, this is not today's issue, but it is there historically as well. And most of our kings, everyone were aware of these. It was accepted, but the only problem is now it has been made illegal, and the people are being tortured to death by saying that it's a psychological disorder and all. So to ensure that this becomes a right to privacy, right, the Supreme Court is actually thinking about giving it to a larger bench. The next issue is actually with respect to BharatNet Phase 1. What is this? The central government has actually planned for e-panchayats. You know about the Digital India campaign and all. E-panchayats was launched long back, where every rural area panchayat will be connected with high-speed internet. Over a period of time, if this becomes successful, India will achieve Digital India. Remember, when we talk about not only Jio and other services reaching, if we can reach high internet here, whether it is education, health services, transportation, if there is any issues like police stations, or if there is any complaints that needs to be given, or if we are talking about services provided by the government reaching to the people, or if we are even talking about the banking services and all, if all this has to be proper, then all the facilities has to reach the rural areas. The government had actually planned to ensure that at least 1 lakh rural areas will be benefited from this, and within the targeted time, that is on 31st December, they have reached the targets. But how effectively are these functioning and all, you will get to know with the CAG report and all. Here I want to tell you another important thing. From where does the government gets the money? There is something called as Universal Service Obligation Fund. Okay, so Department of Telecommunications, DIT and all, what they usually do, they try to collect some taxes from all the telecom companies like Airtel, Vodafone and all. They actually try to pay tax, like separate tax called as Universal Service Obligation Fund. So in this fund, the fund money will be used by the telecommunications to actually establish networks across India. Remember, Airtel cannot go and invest money in a rural area, neither Vodafone nor BSNL. It will be problematic. So every company has to give a bit, so that that money will be used effectively in the rural connectivity. One of the funds which are effectively used in the country is this, especially Universal Service Obligation Fund, where it has helped initially to help the mobile networks reach. Now it is helping the internet to reach. For this, we should be aware that when you are talking about internet, you need to go for optical fiber network, which India is planning through its National Optical Fiber Network as well. The fiber networks, which if it is made of the Indian things, it will be helpful in transferring or providing jobs and improving the service sector, telecom sector of India. Second important thing, it will actually reach to the rural areas where skill development and job creativity can also be done. Playing national anthem has become optional now. Earlier it was mandatory. As we see that as the judges benches keeps on varying, usually the decision about the issues also keeps varying. So don't get into these in detail. What is more important is what has actually happened. If you are talking about nation building and all, you can write this in post-independence India. You might have heard of something called as MP LAT schemes. Member of parliaments in your own constituencies, if you see bus stops and all, they would have put their names and they said that from the funds of the government, this project has been sanctioned and inaugurated by particular MP or so. See guys, Government of India initially under Ministry of Rural Development planned to give certain money to MLAs and MPs who in their own constituencies will spend enough to ensure that their constituencies improve. Later, it was actually shifted to Ministry of Statistics, where they will be looking at the program implementation. One of the major criticism of this is that the funds are not effectively used. The funds are usually transferred to the district collectors and the MPs will sanction projects and the district collectors usually have to implement it. But there are several reports which has clearly shown that it's a complete failure and the money is not utilized. Sometimes we see that almost around 4 to 5 years, the MPs have not used the fund at all and it is staying idle. So all this needs to be done carefully. So the government was actually thinking of removing this. Now they are planning to extend it till 2020. The question can be, it is under which department? There is an important case study which has actually helped us to realize the significance of Swachh Bharat initiative. In Adilabad district, there is a village or gram of 48 tribal communities, and these tribal communities had actually implemented Swachh Bharat Abhiyan by constructing toilets and also soak pits. Because of this, what has happened, as they have not just constructed but have also started using it, the mosquitoes, malarias and others have been a thing of past. They say that earlier we were continuously affected by fever and all. Now we don't have that. From last 2 years, we have not used paracetamol tablets at all. Not only the vector-borne diseases, whenever these people used to go out for open defecation, snakes used to bite. There were some other issues associated. All this is being removed now. And they also say that with the help of soak pits and all, we are in a position to increase the water level so that we can use the groundwater effectively even now. So Swachh Bharat has really helped us. Identifying that this area has worked effectively in implementing, the government has sanctioned houses in this region as well. So this can be one very good example for your Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or campaign whenever they talk about ethics case study or so. If you use this in essays and all, it will have very good impact. So guys, please try to read it, collect some points from these stories. You're all aware that there was a historical thing in India's Supreme Court, especially when 4 Supreme Court judges, they had some differences with the CJI, came out open and held conference. Now they are saying that there are a lot of problems in this, but right from the beginning, the country is demanding that there should be fair and transparency in the Supreme Court, which they had not accepted. Unfortunately, it has its own political colors, where these people meeting opposition party leaders and all has made the issue bit more political than being a serious issue oriented. But my suggestion to you, please try to read Supreme Court, the judges appointment, NJAC issue and all again, because as this is in news, there is a possibility of they asking a question about the related thing, that is how to ensure transparency, how to ensure that the appointments takes place fairly and all. For that, you people have to go through that carefully, right? Very, very important for you. Next important issue is actually about the Prime Minister talk. Especially it is important because of internal security. Here, Prime Minister focuses on certain internal security challenges. The first important thing is every state department has its own intelligence network which tries to collect some information. Unfortunately, this information is not shared with other states or it is not shared with the central government. When the information is not shared, how exactly are we in a position to identify, or how exactly are we in a position to connect the dots across the country? Today, India at global summits is talking about information exchanges. We are signing agreements with different countries of the world where we are saying that information about the terrorist activities and all should be shared effectively. Unfortunately, within the country itself, the states are not providing this. And there is a plan to establish NAT grid. From long time, the government is talking about this. And if this becomes a reality, there are almost some 28 central government agencies which are giving information. Now we need to integrate this with the state governments as well, where all the information will be available, and if any state police or central police departments, if they want any information about any particular individual or crime, then they can access it. And if that is available, investigation and all, it will be very easy. See guys, some people will be caught in monetary transactions where ED or someone might have caught, another person might be caught in the arms. So These two, if you have to connect them, then information across agencies are required. For that, the Modi was actually talking about breaking the silos of information. Second important thing is about the cyber crime. These things has to be brought to notice and priority should be given. If we are talking about digital India and all, one, to build confidence in the people, you should have good structures, and if anyone goes for such crime, you should catch them immediately, because you know from where they have taken. The worst part in the country is, even when you know which are the bank accounts to which the money is transferred, our police system and all are not effective to catch them. So you should focus on the cyber crime. Once you focus on the cyber crime, terror funding through these cyber crimes can also be reduced. So for us, cyber crime is not only from the digital India point of view, but also breaking the terror funding. You need to focus on that. Then the third important thing is radicalizing youth is taking place at different places. So this information should be shared with the NIA so they can have an eye over the movement from where money is coming and all. Say for example, in West Bengal, there are some groups who are involved. Now how exactly will the central government be able to crack them down? If they know the information, they can see from where money is coming, with whom they are in contact with. If they are in contact with Bangladesh, they will talk to Bangladeshi authorities and try to catch them. So if all this has to take place, then they have to work coordinatively. This is what Prime Minister Modi actually is focusing on. So guys, very, very important issue is about internal security challenges, where you need to list out all these issues and try to build the systems carefully so that we are in a position to fight against these. India has unveiled its fastest supercomputer, which will actually put it ahead of many countries, and it will be fourth largest, fastest in the world. Earlier we had only 1 petaflop of this. Now it is 6.8 PF, which will be benefiting India. So the name is important. Pratyush means what? It is a supercomputer. Under which ministry? Ministry of Earth Sciences. And it is the fourth fastest supercomputer in the world, which is used for weather and climate research. Others, Japan, US and UK also uses this for weather and climate. You have supercomputers for other purpose, but for weather and climate research, India has one of the largest. You know that Prime Minister recently has said that there are 3 important issues in the world. One is climate change, and this is to actually look at this and increase the adaptability. So whenever you talk about disaster management and all, you can actually give example of this. But direct question in UPSC can be, what is Pratyush? Pratyush is India's supercomputer. And the next page we have given some fastest supercomputers in the world. Just try to remember, the first 2 are of China, third is Swiss, fourth is Japan, and the fifth is US. National Supercomputer Center in Wuxi. The first one will be important. Right guys? So just go through this. What is the benefit of this? We are going to ensure if there is extremes of weather climate, cyclones, tsunamis, earthquakes, air quality monitoring, lightning, where fishes are there, hot waves, cold waves, floods, drought, all this can be uploaded, verified, and you can also go for different models in analyzing them. United Nations has recently said that the microbeads which are actually used in cosmetics, face washes and others are actually toxin. When we talk about this, these microbeads are nothing more than microplastics which are less than 5 millimeters. So usually what happens, these are used in several products, like your face wash, creams and all. And whenever you usually use it, there is a tendency that this water enters into sewage. And when this water along with the microbeads enter into sewage, they are absorbents and absorb other chemicals as well. And they will store these chemicals. In the sewage plants, which are even efficient when it comes to United States or so, you usually observe that the sewage treatment plants are not in a position to remove them. As they are not in a position to remove them, what we usually observe is when it is cleaned and if it is released into the water, aquatic things and all, or if it is reused for consumption of water and all, then we are usually observing that they are entering into the food chain. Once it enters into the food chain, again at the hierarchy level, man is usually present on top and he will also be affected. Because of this, United Nations has banned this. So, it's important for you to know about the microplastics or microbeads which are in news, especially from film's point of view. So some facts if you are planning to see, that is, what are these microbeads? US law or United Nation law, usually you cannot use it from now. So they are actually asking all the countries to ban it. But the problem is, in developed countries, these type of bans comes quickly. But in developing countries like India and all, as you have lot of procedural defaults and all, it will take lot of time. So usually developed countries are the one which takes precautionary measures and high standards. But you should also be aware that whenever India is manufacturing any products with microbeads, then we are not in a position to export it to European Union or other countries if they ban it. So only after that India will be enforcing ban on such things. We should ensure that whenever it is not good, it is there in our standards as well, so that the companies will avoid using it and see alternatives that are efficient. So it is present in face, body washes, lip gloss, toothpaste and all. And when we talk about a single cosmetic product, it contains more than around 35,000 to 1 lakh microbeads. And they are also called as toxin carriers, right? When they are ingested or by the fishes and birds, they enter into the food chain and affect us. This topic about agriculture needs a reform package. I'm leaving it here because whatever the negatives we are talking in this article has been turned positive after the budget. So I don't want to confuse you by talking about this article now. The next important issue that we all need to focus is with respect to her Gobind Khorana. Every time whenever you observe Google, it usually tries to give you some personality or picture whose popularity is more and if they have contributed in any field of arts. Har Gobind Khorana, who was actually involved in understanding the DNA sequencing with respect to proteins and all, was a Nobel Prize. So it's important for us to know about his work. So whenever we are talking about it, after James Watson on Francis Crick, like Khorana was among those who significantly built on that knowledge and explained how this sequence of nucleic acids, that is, he tried to explain the genetic code. Remember, every protein producing gene will have its own DNA structure. When you understand the DNA structure, for example, let's take something like insulin. Okay, so when I know in your gene which code is important for this insulin, and if I go for this genetic therapy and try to change it, then rather than giving medicines from outside, your body itself will produce the insulin. These technologies are available, but the biggest problem in the world today is the pharmaceutical companies will not allow these to come up. Right? So, but what we are actually focusing on this is when we are aware of certain proteins or some nucleic acids which are required for our body, and due to some genetic disorders, you are not in a position to produce that particular thing. So, with gene mutations, usually with the stem cell therapy and all, people try to mutate it. They change it and ensure that your body will produce it. So the medicines which they will be providing, not only at the, once you grow up, but even when you are, as a child, and when they recognize or diagnose diseases at the early age itself, they can do some modifications so that this will be beneficial. Or sometimes some hereditary diseases when you have in the zygote or something, even in the initial stages of egg formation itself, we are in a position to change it so that it will be beneficial. So the point what I'm trying to say here is, once we understand what is the loophole, then diagnosing the diseases is also very, very important, or it is very, very easy easy. So when we look at biotechnology and information technology, the combination of these two is known as bioinformatics. Once the entire gene sequencing of human beings is clearly known to the individuals, then what we will do, we will try to read, every person will take the DNA of him and we will try to see what is the sequencing, and we will see which medicine suits him better, because some may be allergic, some may not be. So in all these you should know the DNA sequencing, and Khorana was one such personality who actually helped us in understanding these sequences. So his contribution was towards the nucleic acids, so it's very, very important for you. Whenever investments in a country is affected due to global issues, or if the existing routes are stopping any investments to come into the country or to increase investments in the country, government usually goes for changes in the FDI policy. So whenever they change, usually the governments will have reservations in 1 year, but later they change it because of the need of the hour. So some important things are 100% FDI was made automatic. Earlier, the BJP government was opposing this. Now they have allowed 100% FDI under automatic route for single brand retail trading. Second important thing, they are also focusing on 100% FDI under automatic route in construction development. What is the meaning of automatic route, guys? Automatic route means without taking permission. So if the government says that without my permission, you can invest in construction industry, 100% project. The meaning of this is some construction company can come directly to India and they can purchase land and develop without asking permission from the Indian government. So this is called as automatic route. You need permission to purchase land. You need all the documents like Indian, but you will not be differentiated with any other Indian citizen. So for example, if you cannot purchase land in Jammu and Kashmir, even they cannot come and purchase. So when you purchase land, you need to show the documents and all. They also need to show the documents and all. But what is the difference? The only difference is that whatever rules is applicable for you is applicable for them as well. Foreign airlines, especially when we are talking about Air India, 49% approval route is seen here. FIIs or FPIs allowed to invest in power exchanges through primary market. That is, foreign institutional investment or foreign investors, when they are going for equities in power exchanges, they can go in the primary market. What is the meaning of primary market? The companies can sell the stocks to the public. So when the companies sell stock to the public and company earns money, we call it as primary market. If the public start exchanging the shares among themselves, we call it as secondary market. Definition of medical devices has been amended so that whether it is importing or exporting, it would be easy. "99% of the people will be aware about our ISRO's workhorse, that is PSLV. But whoever don't know, just try to remember that our workhorse is PSLV, that is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, not GSLV. GSLV nowadays we are seeing success, but PSLV is capable of launching multiple satellites at a lower cost. So you can usually observe that around 31 satellites in 2 different orbits are launched by PSLV C-40, and it is one of the longest missions of the country, and it is 40th successful launch, right? All these are some of the things that we need to see. Second important thing, I have already taught you with respect to urban heat island, and I have also taught you with respect to smog. Fortunately, what has happened because of the urban heat island, so this is called as blessing in disguise, where the urban heat island, that is high temperature because of pollution and urban areas, is actually helping to remove fog formation, or fog formation has reduced in Delhi with respect to the nearby areas. So this is what we are observing with respect to Delhi, right guys? I have already told you How fog will be formed? Because of the conduction process, and I have also explained you urban heat island. So these two are combined in Delhi, which leads to less fog formation when we compare with other regions. Sikkim government has allowed the people of Sikkim to follow their historical culture, where they try to develop relationship with the trees. That is, they actually follow something called as myth or mythni, where they try to forge a relationship of brotherhood or sisterhood with the trees. So when they have the type of relationship, then they will ensure that the trees are not cut. They protect the trees and they encourage more afforestation rather than deforestation. So Sikkim forest tree amity or reverence rules is aimed at preserving it. So if they ask you this, this is with respect to Sikkim. So please be aware from prelims point of view. Then the next important point is with respect to Niti Aayog, where it has brought 10 plans or pilot projects in different agro-climatic regions, which are very, very important for doubling the national income of the farmers. The person has not given his clear 10 points what all needs to be done, but he says that one important thing is to revive the economy, second important thing is doubling farmers income, third important thing is health. So by looking at these priority areas, we understand that government is also working towards it. Entire budget actually focuses in implementing these. So we should be analyzing our budget with the help of these precepts, right? That was the reason why we had given these initially. Now, as the budget is out, it will be easy for us to analyze. So guys, within next week, we'll try to cover whatever backlogs we have with respect to the magazines. And we will be also quickly taking up the Hindu diary of events. Later, I'll be taking up economic survey and budget and India yearbook as well. One after the other will be taking up so that you people go through it, revise it properly and analyze it better. So guys, thank you. Thanks for watching.